G'day guys, my name is F1 Luke Sam and thank you for clicking on today's video. I'm a little bit of an F1 nerd who has trouble keeping things to himself, so what I do is I conspire on my own and then I share with you guys. Now I'm wearing this shirt by deliberate choice today, and that's because the topic of today's video is, of course, Valtteri Bottas. We've seen a recent drop in performance and results and just what we've come to expect from Valtteri Bottas in recent seasons. More specifically, the drop coming since he moved from Mercedes to Alfa Romeo. Now, he's a very credible driver. He's in a battle with AlphaTauri and Haas, and earlier in the season, the first couple of races, it was certainly McLaren too. And like many drivers, he has a hobby, but one of them is a major red flag to me. Now at Mercedes, he had a mega amount of wins and points. He was very fast and strategical at times. However, he was never really at Lewis Hamilton's level. Now he's joined Alfa Romeo as a team leader and a really mature figure, and I feel like that role is perfect for him. He's blossomed into it, and you know, him, his mullet, his mo, his t-shirt tan, it all suits and it's amazing. He's been plagued with some engine issues, but last year he more or less smashed Zhou out of the park in all of the stats that matter. However, you'd expect that from someone like Bottas racing Zhou. But the start of this season has been majorly, to put it lightly, concerning for me, and I'm sure for many of you guys. Bottas is up 4-3 in qualifying and in the race, but what happens in the race and in quali, you know, the end result isn't what concerns me. It's where I expect him to be. It's kind of been back and forth with Bottas and his car this season, but what I've found out is when Bottas is knocked down, it looks quite hard for him to bring himself back up in the same weekend. And considering he's the vet and Zhou is the rookie, the fact that Zhou is so close to him is kind of concerning. Now back to the hobbies. I just want to firstly say it is okay to have hobbies. In fact, it is good. It's a good thing. That's an obvious thing to say, but I feel like I need to preface the next thing I say with that. It's important for drivers, as they say, to get away from Formula One. Now, he loves coffee, he loves his cars, he served in the military, and he even loves punk rock. But there's one hobby that takes up a big portion of his life that I haven't mentioned in that list, and it's on two wheels. Now, Bottas loves to cycle, it's no secret. You scroll through his Instagram, he kind of looks like a cyclist who drives F1 cars in a competition for fun. Now, it's not the cycling that concerns me. In fact, it's a very popular hobby among drivers, and up until they were banned from the track walk for whatever reason, drivers would prefer to cycle than walk. But what I think is Bottas is cycling far too much. Now that might sound out of pocket considering I have no idea anything about Bottas except for what I see on social media and on a screen. I mean, I met him at an airport in Singapore last year, but that's as close as it got. Now with that statement, I need something to back it up.
This needs to stop now.
So how is cycling bad? Now I've made a video about Nico Rosberg and what he did with cycling to help him win the 2016 championship, and you can find that on the card on either side, but I'm not talking about something that dramatic with Valtteri. It has to do with muscle twitch fibers, and I know what you're thinking, what the fuck are they? Because me, I know surface level, but I think I know enough to explain why too much cycling is bad with muscle fibers and how that affects his performance. However, this part is very nerdy, so nerd alert, don't be alarmed. I'm not going to talk about this, so I'll pass it on to F1 Luke Nerd. Get it? Because I'm wearing glasses. Now I'm going to start this off by opposing everything I've said. Cycling is healthy and encouraged, and so are hobbies. Now cycling can help you maintain peak fitness, and for an F1 driver that's very important. Helps with pedal power because of increased leg mass. It's a very low impact exercise. There's little to no strain on the muscles and the joints. It can increase your stamina and it can lower your body weight, you know, just the fats, which aren't important. And of course, it more than likely helps with his mental health and well-being, which is very important. But let's get into the bad. If you cycle too close to a race weekend, it can actually lead to not entering that race weekend and performing at peak fitness. Riding a bike is good for your legs. It creates strong legs, but it is not good for your arms. Too much cycling can neglect F1 specific training. These are things like reaction time, you know, mental focus and tactical decision making too. And if cycling is all you're doing, it's a very much non-balanced training regime. Now let's relate this back to F1. Although that sounds like a lot of benefits, F1 drivers need specific skills on their resume to be successful and fast. Now this is the really nerdy part, so stick with me. but we're gonna dive into muscle fibers, specifically fast and slow twitch. I'll make it very easy and simple because even I don't understand the really in-depth stuff. Oh, and it's homemade pizza with a coffee for Bottas. And pineapple, of course. Now, briefly and simply, fast fibers help drivers perform fast movements. It'll benefit a driver during acceleration and reaction time, like when the lights go out. It will help them in heavy braking zones, like slamming their foot on the pedal fast. It'll also help them when defending, so they can react quickly to what's happening. Now, slow fibers are more of an endurance muscle fiber. It'll help them with endurance throughout a race. It'll also help them with the constant throttle control that they go throughout a race. It'll also help them with cornering, you know, turning the wheel and keeping it really consistent. It also helps them with posture and stability, and this is very underrated. You know, I'm on my computer for 20 minutes and I already find myself kind of leaning over and slouching down. F1 drivers need to maintain a proper posture for nearly an hour and a half or 2 hours. So now we know a little bit about fast and slow muscle fibers, let's relate this to cycling and also again back to F1. Now, I'm not taking this away from Valtteri. In fact, I'm very confident that he's accommodated for this in his training, so he's not just doing cycling. If he wasn't doing enough or he wasn't doing it to well effect, this is probably what would be happening. F1 drivers need both slow and fast twitch muscle fibers, and from me on the outside looking in with my surface level knowledge, I feel like fast muscle fibers are very important. And that is because you can't generate muscle fibers. There's only a finite capacity. And because you can't generate them or build them or develop them, you can only convert them. What does that mean? Think about it like a pie chart. Right now we've got 50-50. The red is fast and the yellow is slow. Now let's say Valtteri puts all of his training into cycling and that's it. That's gonna add to the slow twitch fibers, but in turn it's gonna take away from the fast twitch fibers. I'm not saying this is happening to Valtteri. However, what I am saying is if he's not training properly and doing all the right things to accommodate for his immense amount of cycling, this could be happening. And Formula One drivers, in order to perform at the very top, need a sufficient amount of both muscle twitch fibers. And unfortunately, I don't think he's performing at his very peak.
Fuck you!
This is a massive shot in the dark, and it could play a minor factor, it could play a very large factor. I don't really know, but I'm just trying to find reasons as to why his performance has not been as good as when he was at Mercedes. Now, I know what you might be thinking, it's a Mercedes and it's an Alfa Romeo. He's not going to be fighting for podiums and pole positions and wins in an Alfa Romeo, but goals are relative. Just ask George Russell after Sakir 2020. He shouldn't be fighting for a podium or a win or even Q3 on some weekends. However, when you compare him to Zhou, it's just not good enough. I'm just going to take these off now. The science is over and I'm just going to reiterate, it is a big shot in the dark, I understand that. However, I was trying to find reasoning. This popped into my mind and I couldn't stop thinking about it, so I had to share it. Let me know what you think his drop of performance is because of in the comments down below, and whether you agree with this theory, because realistically it is just a theory. It could genuinely be he's having trouble adjusting to the new regulations, the new car, or there really could be more to it. All we can really do, and all I am really doing, is conspiring. I love Valtteri. I think he's an amazing driver, and I really think that he can take Alfa Romeo and potentially Audi to the very next level and continue to coach Zhou in a way to make him a more mature, complete, well-rounded driver. If you did enjoy today's video, be sure to hit the like button. If you are new around here, it is free to subscribe. But with all of that conspiring done, thank you guys for watching. I've been F1 Luke Sam, and you guys have been amazing. Stay safe.